There are men a woman meets once, briefly, sometimes in the most ordinary circumstances, and never quite forgets. Not because anything dramatic happened between them, not because the interaction was long or particularly eventful, but because something about that man left an impression that settled somewhere deep and stayed there long after the moment passed. You probably know a woman like this. She will reference a man she met years ago, someone she barely spent time with, and the way she describes him tells you immediately that whatever he carried in that brief encounter never fully left her. She cannot always explain why. She just knows he was different. She knows how she felt standing near him, and that feeling became attached to him permanently, even across years and distance. What I want to explore today is what those men actually had in common, because it was never what most people assume. It was not their looks. It was not their money or their status or anything they said in those few minutes together. It was something that operated at a level most men never think to develop deliberately. And once you understand what it was, you will never approach your own presence the same way again. This is Wisdom and Lace. I am Grace, and as a woman, I can tell you honestly that the men who stay in a woman's memory are not always the most conventionally impressive ones. They are the ones who made her feel something specific that she could not locate anywhere else. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss what we cover each week. The first thing those men had in common is that they were completely inside the moment they were in. Not thinking about the next thing, not managing how they were coming across, not running a quiet internal audit of how the interaction was going. They were simply and entirely present, and that quality, genuine, undivided presence, is so rare in human interaction that when a woman encounters it, she feels it physically. It is the difference between speaking to someone and being truly heard by someone. Most people go through entire lives without experiencing the second one very often. When a man offers it naturally, without effort, without agenda, he becomes memorable before he has done anything else. The second thing those men had in common is that they were not available to everyone in the same way. Not cold, not distant, not performing mystery, but genuinely selective in where their full attention went and what they chose to engage with deeply. A man who is equally enthusiastic about everything and equally open with everyone communicates that access to him costs nothing, and things that cost nothing are not held onto. The men women remember were the ones who made her feel that his genuine engagement with her specifically meant something, because it was clear that he did not distribute it freely. That selectivity is not a technique. It is the natural expression of a man who actually has standards for where his energy goes. The third thing those men had in common is that they made her feel seen in a way she was not expecting. Not complimented, not flattered, seen. There is a meaningful difference between a man who tells a woman she is beautiful and a man who notices something specific and real about who she actually is and reflects it back to her without being asked to. The second man demonstrates that he was paying attention at a level that goes beyond surface assessment. That kind of attention is intimate without being inappropriate. It communicates that she registered to him as a full person rather than a visual impression. Women carry that experience with them because it is genuinely uncommon. Most men look. Very few actually see. The fourth thing those men had in common is that they were at ease with themselves in a way that had clearly not been recently acquired. It was not confidence as performance. It was not the kind of self-assurance that requires a good day to sustain itself. It was something older and quieter than that. A man who is genuinely comfortable in his own skin does not need the interaction to go a particular way in order to feel okay about himself. He is not hoping she approves. He is not calculating whether he's making the right impression. He is simply there, grounded in who he is, and that groundedness produces a quality of ease that a woman's nervous system registers as safety. Safe does not mean boring. Safe means she can relax into the interaction instead of managing it. And interactions where a woman can fully relax are the ones she remembers. The fifth thing those men had in common is that they left something open. The interaction concluded before she felt finished with it. Not because he was playing a game or withholding deliberately, but because he was not the kind of man who needed to extract maximum value from every moment of connection. He did not overstay, he did not over-explain. He did not need to arrive at a conclusion that confirmed the interaction had been successful. He simply reached a natural point and moved on with the same ease he had brought into the beginning, and her mind, left without the closure it was reaching for, kept returning to him, kept replaying the texture of those few minutes, kept asking itself questions about him that the interaction had not answered. That is not manipulation. That is simply what happens when a man is secure enough not to need resolution. The sixth thing those men had in common is perhaps the most important and the most difficult to articulate. They had a life. A real, full, textured life that existed completely independently of whatever interaction they were in. Their sense of themselves did not shift based on how any particular moment was received. They had things they cared about, directions they were moving in, a relationship with their own existence that was clearly not on hold waiting for external validation to arrive. A man whose inner world is rich and self-sustaining produces a different kind of gravity than a man whose attention is primarily directed outward seeking approval. The first kind of man draws people toward him. The second kind pushes them away even when he is doing everything he believes should attract them. Here is what connects all six of these things. None of them are about impressing anyone. Every single one of them is about a man being so genuinely and fully himself that his presence produces an experience in others that they did not manufacture and cannot easily forget. The men women remember years later were not trying to be remembered. They were simply present, selective, perceptive, grounded, unhurried, and alive to their own existence in a way that made standing near them feel different from standing near anyone else. That is not a performance you can rehearse. It is a quality you build by actually doing the internal work of becoming someone whose presence means something. And the men who do that work, quietly and without an audience, are the ones who end up living in the memory of people they barely spent an hour with. You do not need to chase that kind of impact. You need to become the kind of man it belongs to naturally. I am grace. This is wisdom and lace. If this gave you something worth thinking about today, share it with a man who is ready to hear it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Tell me about a person whose presence stayed with you long after the moment passed. I read every single one. I will see you in the next one.